Most men pray for a godly wife, but never stop to ask this one question. You know all about what you want: your type, her hair color, her smile, her Bible toting, her hobbies. You've fantasized about her for years. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how the science of micro niching can save you years of wasted effort, redeem the years of disappointment, and even protect your heart from a marriage that God didn't intend for you. It starts with one simple question from a sermon years ago that went viral before viral was even a thing. The question is, one of the biggest frustrations for many 35 and over Christian men seeking marriage is feeling like they're searching for a needle in a haystack. It's exhausting to sift through a sea of potential, beautiful, godly women without knowing where to start. That's where the concept of micro-niching comes in. It's not a marketing gimmick, it's a science. We'll unpack 5 pointed questions. Question 1. What does it mean to micro-niche in the context of seeking a Christ-centered relationship? 2. Why is it important to move from top of funnel, any Christian single mindset, from the bottom of funnel, ideal partner mindset? 3. How can a man discover his unique relational lane so that he can attract the right kind of woman for his calling and hers? How can a man discover his unique relational lane and assess whether he's who the woman he's seeking would pursue? 5. How does knowing your own micro niche actually enrich your faith journey and future marriage goals? All 5 questions could be summed up into one simple question from a sermon years ago that went viral before viral was even a thing. It inspired the book, The New Rules for Love, Sex, and Dating by Andy Stanley. The question is, are you who the person you're looking for is looking for? I know. We'll unpack that more in easy, practical steps in question 3. I promise. I got you. Question 1. What does it mean to micro niche in the context of seeking a Christ-centered relationship? I learned that with men, y'all appreciate bullet points. So here we go. Identify a specific subset of Christian singles who share your values, your season of life, and your vision for marriage. Moving beyond any Christian will do to clarify about who you're truly called to build with. Recognizing that specificity doesn't shrink your chances, it increases alignment and eliminates mismatches faster. Filtering with biblical and practical standards instead of just chemistry or convenience. Proverbs 16 verse 9 says, "In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." In other words, in his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord, he directs your steps. Picture the difference between a man swiping aimlessly versus a man walking into a room knowing exactly who he's there to talk to. Another urgent pain point I often hear is that men feel like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall in relationships, trying to connect with everyone, hoping something sticks. That broad approach is exhausting, costly, and emotionally draining for you and for her. By moving from top of funnel mindset, which means any Christian single, to the bottom of funnel mindset, ideal partner fit, you'll save time, energy, and heartache. Question 2. Why is it important to move from top of funnel, any Christian single mindset, to a bottom of funnel, ideal partner mindset? Bullet points, here we go. Broad fishing casts a wide net, but also hauls in mismatches and drama. Focused pursuit means higher relational ROI, more depth, and less dead-end dating. Intentionally builds trust faster and avoids accidental breadcrumbing or false hope. Clarity attracts the right woman who is also selective and intentional. Matthew 7, verse 14 says, "But small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only few who find it." Philippians 1, verse 10 says, "So that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless in the day of Christ." When you get focused, you stop bleeding time, money, and emotional energy. The broader your approach, the more mismatches you'll collect and the more distractions you'll entertain. It's like a hunter tracking one kind of deer versus someone aimlessly firing arrows into the forest. When you're focused, you're clear on your aim and the trajectory of your pursuit. Question 3 comes in 2 parts. First, for the men who don't know what they're looking for, and part 2 is for the men who know exactly what they want. Many 35 and over Christian men quietly wrestle with this thought. I know I'm called to marriage, but I can't seem to figure out exactly what kind of woman is truly aligned with my calling. That uncertainty can keep you in a holding pattern, meeting good women, godly women, beautiful women, but not the right woman. The breakthrough comes when you discover your own lane and lead from it. Question 3, part 1. How can a man discover his unique relational lane so he can attract the right kind of woman for his calling? Start by identifying where your life bears the most fruit. Those environments reveal the kind of partnership that will multiply your impact. Get clear on the mission God's given you and filter for women who are excited to build that mission with you. Pay attention to past patterns. Who have you naturally connected with deeply and why? Be willing to release the pressure to fit every mold. Clarity requires courage to say, "This is who I am and where I'm going." When I launched the Kingdom Singles brand, I began speaking to all singles. Over a span of years and time, I noticed that the men were the most engaged, most passionate, most coachable, most eager for tips, tricks, and tactics and mindset shifts. The men who were the most ready to take decisive action were the 35 and over Christian men who deeply desired marriage and children. Women were motivated too, but the men are the leaders in this endeavor. So if we wanted to accelerate the path to godly marriage and multiplication, the engine are the godly men desiring marriage and multiplication. That clarity allowed me to create resources specifically for you, resources that wouldn't have been effective if I'd kept trying to speak to everyone. In marketing, they say, try to help everyone and you're helping no one. I invested thousands in hours and dollars to learn this really important principle. You can do the same in your pursuit of marriage and multiplication. Focus on where the most fruit comes and commit to serving that lane well. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 18 says, "But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be." It's one thing to wonder who your future wife should be, but it's another to ask if you are the husband she'd be looking for. Andy Stanley asked this exact question in his book. Are you who the person you're looking for is looking for? Urging every eligible man to examine whether he embodies the character and values he seeks in his spouse. Before you refine the profile of her, you have to first reflect on whether you're the kind of man she'd say yes to. Question 3, part 2. How can a man know whether he is who the woman he's looking for is looking for? Here it is. This is where I fulfill my promise. And if you haven't started taking notes yet, now's the time. If you've already journaled this, great. Now, give yourself a stress test on whether you're the one she's looking for. I'll give it to you in 3 steps. Step 1, reverse identify. Pause and list out the key values, behaviors, and spiritual traits you're seeking in your future wife. Then ask yourself, do I naturally model these traits? If not, where are you falling short? Step 2, realign your growth. Choose one area where there's a gap between what you want and who you are. Then take a concrete step towards becoming that person. This could be in your prayer life, communication, leadership, or emotional availability. Step 3, live in a way that attracts. Begin intentionally living as though you already are the person that she's looking for. Your lifestyle, priorities, and character should reflect that identity. Then let those who value the same recognize that alignment. Just recently, YouTube sent me a message celebrating 15 years on the platform with Kingdom Singles brand. This has been a long journey from starting wide to journeying narrow. When I narrowed the Kingdom Singles brand to 35 and over Christian single men desiring marriage and children, I asked myself, am I modeling the depth, integrity, and mission focus that I'm encouraging them to embody? That intentional mirror check transformed and is transforming my communication, my content, habits, and ultimately makes our connection more authentic because I'm not just talking about a standard. I'm living it, experiencing it in real time, and soaking in the hearts and voices of eligible kingdom men and women who have the audacity to still believe and keep stepping out in faith for Christ-centered marriage and children. Galatians 6, verse 4 says, each one should test their own actions. Then they will take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. One of the most paralyzing frustrations for 35 and over Christian men is being unsure of how to even start narrowing down who they should pursue. The fear is real. What if I'm too picky and miss out? Or what if I settle and regret it? Without a clear process, you'll waste precious years in circles, not steps. Identifying your micro niche is a biblical and practical act of stewardship over your future. You'll stop the circles and journey steps and clear your path to accelerate in the direction you've already purposed. You're set to go. And that's your mandate to be fruitful and multiply. And godly marriage is your force multiplier. Question 4. What are the practical steps a man can take to identify his micro niche in relationships? First, self-audit. List your top 5 non-negotiable values and 5 disqualifiers. These are your guardrails. God-given assignment. Clarify who you're called to serve and build with. Your spouse will multiply that mission. Let me go off script here. She's going to multiply whatever you give her. So if you give her chaos, she will multiply that. And if you give her alignment, she'll multiply that. Fruit-bearing environments. Look at where your life and faith have thrived. These settings often reveal alignment zones. Season compatibility. Oh, this should have an exclamation mark. Consider the life stage, the desire for marriage, the desire for children, the pace and enthusiasm of faith and lifestyle as key factors. Test conversations. See if a potential partner's actions consistently align with their stated beliefs. In other words, don't just taste and see. You got to have truth and proof. Amos 3, verse 3 says, do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? Proverbs 4, verse 26 says, give careful thought to the paths of your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. If you don't define who you are and who you're aligned with, you'll default to whatever's in front of you, which is rarely God's best. Where you clear your path is where you accelerate your path. Here's a warning. There are men who think micro-niching limits options. But in God's economy, it's about clarifying alignment so you can stop wasting time with people who were never meant to run your race. The right focus doesn't just improve relationships, it strengthens your walk with God because your relationship starts supporting and not competing with your calling. Question 5. How does knowing your micro niche actually enrich your faith journey and future marriage goals? It builds spiritual energy instead of spiritual strain. It reduces conflict over core values, freeing and fueling energy for shared mission. It gives you confidence to say no quickly to the wrong fit, protecting your heart and hers. Macronishing aligns your relationships with discipleship, making it a continuation of your walk with God. Micronishing establishes a marriage foundation as soon as possible on unity of purpose for long term resilience. Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 and 10 says, Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. That's bottom of funnel alignment. A man building with the right woman runs towards purpose together versus dragging each other towards different finish lines. Let's use the past copywriting framework. Problem, agitation, solution. Your problem? You've been searching without a clear filter. You're unsure if you'd pass your own wife's checklist. You're exhausted from mismatched connections. Your agitation? Years slip away in situationships. You feel like you're in motion, but not in progress. You doubt if marriage is even possible for you. Your solution? Micro niche with clarity. Audit yourself against God's word and really ask yourself these catalyzing, fueling questions. Align with God's purpose before aligning with a woman. So, are you him? Your clarity is attractive. Your alignment is magnetic. And a marriage built on clarity and alignment is unstoppable. Watch this video next, Men's Hygiene, what she can tell about you, and it's shocking. It's the not so obvious things women notice about you before you even speak. It's the surprisingly spiritual, scientific, and straight up hilarious world of men's hygiene. Your scent, sink, and socks are actually communicating. This episode will inform you, help you, and maybe even make you laugh while you're clipping your nails. Now remember, you're not single by accident. Your singleness is not happening to you, it's happening for you.